Greetings and salutations. It is I, Professor Macabro, accompanied, like always, by the ever-lovely Zombie Huesitos and the spooky crew. And we're here to regale you with another movie review. Yes, indeed. Talking about this time an all-time classic, a trailblazer and creator of the modern zombie flick. Yes, indeed. Now, before we cinema watchers already had zombie movies, but they were more of the voodoo, I know what do voodoo do type of zombies, where they had a zombie master and he would just control his little mindless zombie puppets to do his bidding, either work at the sugar plantations or seek out revenge. The most notable one to me that comes to mind is Bela Lugosi's White Zombie, where Bela Lugosi is the titular zombie master, and he's controlling people to do his bidding, but he falls in love with this chick and turns her into a zombie, thus creating the titular White Zombie. But along came a movie, an independent movie, created by George A. Romero and others, the classic Night of the Living Dead. And oh boy, what a great title! Night of the Living Dead just sounds so cool, so amazing. Now this movie is a movie that, unfortunately, because of situations, fell into public domain. So a lot of companies were able to release this movie. Back in the old VHS era, anyone could release a copy of Night of the Living Dead, with varying levels of quality, of course. You would have some ones that got a good print and wouldn't release it, and it looked pretty good. Some would release an okay print, but they would switch around the music. And others, of course, released a copy of a copy of a copy, and, well, it looks kind of like shit. But that carried on to DVD. I myself own a very, very low-budget looking copy of Night of the Living Dead. Then I own one a little bit better. I think it's released by Good Times. Not the best, but it's okay. Has a really cool poster art on it, so it's got that. I own the colorized version, which is a trip. And I am only missing, unfortunately, the remake, directed by Tom Savini, and that animated one that Echo made a review about that apparently is not that good, but me being me, I just want to see it because I want to see it. And of course, there's that 30th anniversary debacle that was released that spliced in new footage and changed a couple of things. It's an interesting idea and worth a watch, but definitely not something that I would recommend everyone look out and search for. Yes, indeed, but it's something that I wanted to add to the collection because I like getting different cuts or different variations of movies, which is why I own the colorized version. Very weird how it looks, but it's a little... If you've seen Night of the Living Dead a whole bunch of times, seeing it in a different way makes it an interesting experience, much like, again, that 30th anniversary. But I recently got this Night of the Living Dead release, a new release with a really cool, shiny box set cover, and yes, indeed, it has some new 40th anniversary bonus features. So I am guessing this came out after the much maligned 30th anniversary re-edit thing. The most influential horror film since Psycho. And yes, I agree. This movie is really cool. They did a lot with what they had against a low-budget movie, independent. But they created and developed the modern zombie genre, the flesh-eater zombies. Even though in the film they're not called zombies, they are referred to and thought of as ghouls. And you don't really know what caused the zombie epidemic. They do give you hints, like I would assume would happen in real life, that when something happens, everyone's, pulling stuff out their ass and coming up with theories on what's going on. And they do mention this comet or this probe that might be reanimating the dead and causing them to eat flesh. And of course, this led to a number of sequels done by Romero of the Dead timeline. You had Dawn of the Dead, which is my favorite of the series. Then you have Day of the Dead, Land of the Dead, Survival of the Dead, and what's the other one called? Journal of the Dead? I don't remember what the found footage one is called. That one is so-so. And of course, you have your spin-offs, or movies inspired by this. Like your Return of the Living Dead, your Flight of the Dead, your Children of the Dead, and so on and so on. So, this movie is a landmark that set the tone for many, many years to come. Definitely a good movie. It works like a zombie movie. It kind of like a home invasion one, because the main group of people have to barricade themselves inside a house, and they're having to fight off zombies and fight among themselves. This also established the trope within monster movies or horror movies that humans, for the most part, are pieces of shit. And they'll always fight amongst themselves, like the Joker said. Put people together and eventually chaos will ensue, and they'll end up stabbing each other in the back and fighting each other for looking out for number one. And such is the case would happen here. A lot of good ideas surrounded by a whole bunch of bad ideas and terribly executed plans. And this one, it was the style of the time, has a downer ending. Yes, indeed. It's, if you haven't seen this movie, well, go out and watch it, but everyone dies. None of the people that you follow through the duration of this movie make it out alive. Everyone's dead. Everyone that you thought might be surviving the flick gets done in for. So yes, really, really good movie. And it's very trail-setting, very risque, because the idea of people eating each other, unless you watch the cannibal movies, was not something that you would, consider. There were a lot of cannibal tribes, or allegedly. Some people debate whether or not they were cannibals, and there is the whole Wendigo story of people cannibalizing each other because of an ancient demon. But seeing it on film was very unique, and it also had a shot of a lady showing her buttocks, which was something that you wouldn't see much of. And of course, it was all done with, I think, chocolate syrup and chicken parts. But very, very trail-setting, historic movie in the horror genre. Night of the Living Dead. Yes, I really like this one. I really like the holographic metallic thing. And this brings my collection of Night of the Living Dead to 4. I would like to one day afford the Criterion release, because that one's pretty cool. The Criterion release, I've seen some unboxings of it, and it is a thing of beauty. But, I'm a budget baller, so unless I find it at a flea market or on the cheap, I might have to wait on that. But I have so many different copies of Night of the Living Dead that, yes, indeed, I have enough to tide me over. But I would still like to get the remake, which is a good remake, the 30th anniversary re-edit mess, just to have it in the collection and have it as a talk piece to share with people. And if I am ever able to find a copy, make sure I will make a review of that, because that one is bad, but it's definitely worth watching. Have you seen Night of the Living Dead? I didn't rate this. How silly me. I rate Night of the Living Dead a 10 out of 10. What would be a good thing? Yes, a 10 out of 10. Creepy zombie girl stabbing you to death as you scream in the night. Yes, indeed. Classic movie. Have you seen Night of the Living Dead? If not, I would recommend you watch it, but let me know what you thought about it, or why haven't you gotten to this, in the comments down below. But until we see you all again next time, this has been Professor Macabro. That is Zombie Huesitos and the Spooky Crew, and we wish you all, like always, a good evening.